Hey, hon, we're headed over now. I got good news about the Hallowells.
Listen, John, there's a situation at CTU. I can't make the fundraiser.
What?
I'm sorry. I know how important this is.
Rebecca, whatever's going on over there, it's not your job anymore.
I promise, as soon as I can explain, you will
No,
understand.
no, I want you to explain it now.
I can't. Not over the phone.
Okay. I'll figure this out on our end. I love you.
I love you too.
She can't make it.
John, we built the event around Rebecca getting the medal. The donors are coming to see her.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to be more charming than usual. They will get to meet her at another event.
Look, I may be overstepping, but I have to ask. Is Rebecca having second thoughts about giving up her career? Maybe part of her doesn't want you to win and have everything change.
You're right. You're overstepping. Let's just use the Boston speech, Neela, okay?
I get my own mic. I get my own mic. You got your own mic. Oh my God, what am I
have
gonna
to
do?
wire it down or anything? We just hand you a mic.
Good morning.
Jimmy Smits, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. How do you like your new digs here?
I love it, man. I love it. I think it looks really nice. It's nice to have people like you stop by.
So I got serious flashbacks when I came over here because this used to be a record shop, right? The Tower Records. And I worked at the New York Shakespeare Festival for many years. Got my equity
Public
card.
theater, right?
Public theater.
When did you start there?
Many years ago. Many years ago.
Don't want to give a specific date. How many years did you do there?
It was in the 80s. I got my equity card. I became a legitimate actor working at the New York Shakespeare Festival. Yep.
Did you start there as like in like a big role, or did you sort of start there as like a background actor and then worked your way into bigger roles while you were doing it there?
I was a spear checker. But I grew up seeing plays at the New York Shakespeare Festival, at the Public Theater, the Delacorte in Central Park, where they do Shakespeare in the Park. And that was kind of the place where I got that moment, that permission to aspire moment, watching Raul Julia and James Earl Jones and people that I felt were similar to me, but were doing Shakespeare and Shaw and Pinter, and so it gave me that thing that, hey, I could do this too.
So you're initially kind of a theater kid.
I'm a theater beast, actually. There's the theater people right there.
What was it like for you breaking in? I mean, we'll talk specifically about 24 Legacy in a minute, but what was it like for you breaking into TV when you did, being such a, like you said, a theater beast? Because TV and doing a show like NYPD Blue, for instance, you know, that's a completely... Doing that week by week is a different animal than doing a play. It kind of takes you away from that.
Yeah, well, a lot of New York actors that work in the theater subsidize themselves by doing work on soap operas or stuff that's shooting here in New York. So that's how you navigate those kind of waters, and it's all like shifting gears. It's the same but different, and there's a certain energy that you get working on a live performance that you're sharing with the audience on that given performance that day, and there's a different kind of energy that this kind of thing gives out as well.
Are you the kind of actor on a set who, since you come from theater, sort of feed off the energy of the crew a little bit? Do you try to sort of make sure that the crew is sort of also on your side every time you do a take, or are you able to kind of like walk in front of the camera, hit it, walk off?
It depends on the given show. Or this particular show, like we're working in Atlanta right now, and so the crew is just jazzed that their Falcons are. So that energy that they have every day is like really effusive, and I think they love the fact that that this particular show has the kind of legacy that it does, and it's delivering all these action kind of things that they do on any given day. So yeah, you feed off that energy.
So let's talk about your character on the show. This isn't your first time playing a kind of a man in the halls of power.
Right, well, because I'm playing a politician who's aspiring to higher office. But the lane that this show travels in is a lot different than what I did in The West Wing, which is about, you know, the politics, the day-to-day politics of a campaign. And this show very much travels in that action adventure genre.
And what is the scenario that your character falls in right now?
So I play Senator John Donovan, and he's aspiring to higher office. He's married to a woman, Rebecca Ingram, played by Miranda Otto, who you saw the clip there. She was most notably from Homeland. And she's the head of CTU, which is the counterterrorism unit. She was the former head. And this is kind of a political power couple, and they kind of have sacrificed for each other professionally. And she was instrumental in bringing down a terrorist. And now there seems to be a plot against the group of Army Rangers who were involved in that operation, and which is when you bring in our hero, Eric Carter, who is played by Corey Hawkins, who a lot of you know from played Dr. Dre in Straight Outta Compton, who does just like a wonderful job. And he's kind of sucked into this thing to become an agent, really, for the counterterrorism unit.
Do you get jealous that Corey gets to get all the action scenes and the fight scenes, or are you good with fight scenes these days?
No, he's a youngin', so he can handle all that. He's bruised and he runs around, and I'm behind the desk and I'm fine. Although I you know, we're shooting episode 9, 10 of 12 right now, and I'm not as behind the desk as I thought I was going to be. I was taped up the other day and bound, and I was like, okay, here we go. But that's part of the, you know, the franchise.
You know, one of the things about the show that I noticed in the 2 episodes that I watched is there is a plot unfolding, but as it unfolds, you're sort of realizing more and more that there are people involved in this plot who you wouldn't expect to be involved in it, and you sort of get the sense that, you know, anybody could be involved in it that is in the show. How close are the people involved in it? Are they to you?
Well, I can't be doing too many spoiler things here, but one of the dynamics of the show is that nothing or no one is what they seem to be. So it even is exciting for all of the talented ensemble cast that we have when we get a new script and we have our first read-through to find out who might be getting. But it's part of the dynamic of the show, and I'm really excited that we're doing it. And you know, the 24 has this kind of visual, iconic thing to it that, you know, when it first came out, it was really the boxes, and the fact that it operates in real time is something that, for the audience, it really kind of makes you lean forward. And just in the performing of it, you realize that because it happens on we're doing 12 different episodes, but everything happens consecutively on one day, is that even in the scenes, you feel the kind of energy that you have to amp up with all of the twists and turns.
What is the production like? Because there are so many different angles in each scene, and I feel like 24 was really one of the first shows that sort of showcased, we're shooting with 10 cameras in a room, and we're moving as fast as we can and cutting this up as fast as possible. Right.
You have these, like, that happens usually in the editorial process. We film it just like you would do normally on a film, but many times from different angles, and then editorially they put in all the boxes that happen in the same time.
So you don't have multiple camera operators while you're shooting a scene?
Well, that might depend on an action sequence. You might have 2 or 3 cameras, just like if you were shooting a film. But it's in the editorial, and when they edit the whole piece is when you get that how it relates to the story. And they've actually. The other day I was in the editing bay, and I was seeing that they were doing a scene, and they were tracking the boxes according, like I'm talking right now, so the box would move from one side to another depending on the emotional, tonal thing that's happening in the scene. And it really does create a kind of tension in the audience while you're watching it as well. Wow, yeah.
What made you want to be a part of 24 Legacy? Were you a fan of the original show?
Yeah, I had watched it, and again, because of that kind of visual template that changed, I think, the way people watch television in a lot of different ways. It was very, very forward going in terms of that visual thing. And the fact that a lot of the people that were involved in the initial production, the director of the pilot, directed this pilot, there was a comfort zone that these guys knew what they were doing, and that they wanted to kind of expand the universe of the show and bring in a character like Corey Hawkins' character, who's not your typical, what you might think of being a secret agent, and that whole storyline. The fact that the women, they have a lot of kind of kick-ass women on the show, and so you have women that are protagonists that are like, badass is the only way that I can put it. You know, it's all of those combos in there made me feel like there's something that I would want to play around with for a while.
Now, I have to ask, how many seasons did you do on NYPD Blue when you did that?
I was on NYPD Blue for five and a half years.
5.5 years, and you did some time on the West Wing as well. Yeah. When you get offered a TV show, do you have any hesitation about how much time it's going to take for you to shoot it, or taking that job because, say, 24 Legacy lasts 7 seasons?
Yeah, people say that I have like commitment phobia, and because I mean you can traverse a show for 12, 10 years depending on the success of the show, and I like to keep mixing it up. So that's been my North Star compass that I go by, you know.
Does doing a TV show sort of sometimes stop you from being able to mix it up?
Well, now the TV landscape has changed so much because of you know, the advent of cable and people are watching TV. I was on the train the other day. It's like everybody's watching TV on their phones.
But it freaks me out when I see that.
Really, yeah. But it does allow for shows to go maybe 12 episodes, 10 episodes, as opposed to a regular network show that might go for 22.
So are you guys doing 12 episodes?
We're doing 12
You're doing
right
12,
now.
okay. That's
right.
okay.
And we do a time jump in the middle of the season. Right now, that's what we're doing. I don't know what's going to happen after that. But yeah, so it allows you time to do other things. I mean, I still have a yen to come back and do a play here in New York, and, you know.
What play are you doing?
No, I mean, down the line.
You have time, yeah, okay. It's interesting that you say 24 was a show that really sort of pushed forward the medium of television, because going back to NYPD Blue, once again, I'll keep going back to it because I loved that show. That show also pushed forward the medium, and I think sometimes it's misremembered as a show that showed butts or had curse words on it or like a little bit of sex. But actually, the way that it was shot, the way that it looked, was something that we hadn't seen on television before.
Right. If you were to try to pitch a network show that had all of those combinations that you would have even right now on network television, it would
specifically the butts.
Right, well, the butts and the you know, the language, but they pushed the envelope. But the bottom line on Blue, I think, was that David Milch, who was the head writer and one of the creators on that show, was just a genius in terms of dialogue and just making specific choices with each of the characters so that the audience knew what the characters, what the ghosts in their closets were. So they wanted, even though the show had a week-to-week procedural aspect to it, like there's a crook of the week or case of the week that they had to do, you had investments with those particular characters because it was so well written that you wanted to see how Sipowicz would react in that particular, you know, situation, or Simone, or any of the characters on the show.
As a man of the theater, what was it like for you to be able to jump into television and work with David Milch and then Aaron Sorkin, both TV writers who are very much authors? They're not your standard TV writer. They're looking to sort of put their authorial stamp on the dialogue and on how the characters talk.
Yeah, on West Wing, I actually wasn't there when Sorkin was there.
Me.
But we had, you know, Lawrence O'Donnell wrote, Lawrence O'Donnell, who's on MSNBC right now, wrote the live debate episode that I got to do with, on the show. That it was just, the writing has so much to do with the success of these kinds of programs, and it's, you know, you feel honored to be saying those words.
What do you look for when you look for a project that you're going to take on?
Yeah, now it depends on certain things. Last year I worked on this project for Netflix called The Get Down that Baz Luhrmann was involved with, and it had to do with hip hop. No, it's cool. It's all good. It's all good. It had to do
Baz
with
Luhrmann, give it a round of applause.
it had to do with hip hop in the '70s, the formation of hip hop, and I just loved the fact that it was telling a story that I remember growing up with, and the young people were just very kind of like effusive, so it made me want to jump on board. So it might be for different reasons. Here, I wanted to kind of do something that was a little bit different in terms of the action genre. So.
Can we talk about the Get Down for a second? Because the production design on that show is incredible, and it recreates the era beautifully. You were a part of that era, as you said. You were a Brooklyn kid, you know, at that time. Did you have sort of your own thoughts while you were shooting the show? Were you ever kind of like, no, it actually wasn't like that. I was there. It was a little more like this.
Well, specifically, I remember there was an episode that we did that took place during the blackout, and I do have vivid memories of stores getting looted and what that dynamic was in the city on that particular given night, and they held true in a lot of ways.
What was the production like on that show? Because there were so many stories about like they were just sort of like so obsessed with the details of that period of time that they were just sort of in their own world while making it.
Well, Baz Luhrmann's partner in life, his wife Catherine Martin, was the production designer and the costume designer on the show. So they're they're very finicky about adhering to details, but there's a larger than life quality that exists in their universe that you can see in all their films as well. So. They did a great job. I mean, there was a shot. I vividly remember these being on top of a roof and seeing pigeons growing up in the Bronx in my younger days in the Bronx, and they did a shot like that with one of the kids, and there was a beauty to, even in poverty, there was beauty that they were able to capture too.
I have to ask, as someone who grew up here at that time, what was it like, sort of walking off that set and then into the New York City of today?
Well, New York City today is a little bit different, but exciting and energizing in its own way.
Let's open up to the audience for some questions. Who has a question? Right here.
Thank you, Mr. Smits, for taking my question.
Hi, Jim, please.
I'm a huge 24 fan.
Oh, good deal.
From season 1 to present.
Oh, good deal.
So how do you feel about keeping the iconic state of 24 alive, and what is this season going to be curtailed? I'm not expecting you to give me any spoilers, but you know, what's going to make the 24 fans be ready for this?
Well, it's interesting that you say that. We were able to take the pilot episode to Comic-Con this year. Now, you know, the Comic-Con audiences are like, they'll tell you if they're not happy with a cast change or some way that you're deciding to go with things. And there was a little anticipation there. In the first 20 minutes, it was great to see that particular audience that was kind of like this really lean in and embrace Corey's character. And like I mentioned, that the women are all badass and they're shooting people down and stuff like that, and really kind of get engaged, because again, the visual template of the show is still there, and it delivers big time in terms of action, and the real-time element of the show is none of that has changed. You know, it's just an expansion of the universe. Yeah, the way the camera moves and all that. So you'll get that same. It delivers in that, and I felt like that was a nice pat on the shoulder for us that we were moving in that lane. No, so
you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
Super Bowl Sunday, you know, that wasn't a bad thing either to hear that the network was gonna put us on. Thank you very much.
Next question right here.
Hi, Mr. Smits. I was very fortunate to see the pilot last month, and
Oh, okay.
you were absolutely right.
Were you at the Comic-Con thing?
I was actually at the Paley Center
Oh, okay,
for
Paley.
that.
Okay.
But the first 60 seconds, it grabs you. So well done. Very excited to watch it again.
Thanks.
Super Bowl
Well,
Sunday.
once you hear that little,
The ding, ding.
that was not a paid announcement for 24 Legacy. Thanks for coming, and you know, you hear that clock going, and you know you're off to the races for an exciting hour.
And the ladies really are ride or die in that show.
Yeah.
No question, no question. You've played so many iconic characters over your career. Is there one that you have a particular affinity for?
Oh, I mean, I like them for different reasons. I mean, I love the fact that the West Wing stuff was so meaty in terms of the political nuances of what was, you know, going on, and Bobby Simone's character on Blue, everybody was kind of like, again, I mentioned like ghosts in your closet, so that was a different kind of acting muscle that you were able to exercise. And this, I love the fact that we have this really great young ensemble that are all ready to go, and we're delivering the goods. It's exciting.
You also got to be a part of Rogue One last year, which is pretty incredible.
Thanks. They did a great job on it. If you blinked your eyes, you missed the kid. But it was a little cameo appearance in giving ode to, you know, Bail Organa and the Star Wars universe. They did a great job, and it just I'm happy for the franchise because of these standalone films. It was the first one that they were going to do, and there was a little bit of anticipation about what the success of that would be. But they delivered big time.
100%, yeah, it's great. Next question, right here.
Hi, Jim.
Good morning.
Good
Hi.
morning. My question is, first of all, I am a fan going back to your days as Victor Cifuentes on LA Law.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Thank you.
And I happened to live in Miami in the 1980s and remember the fact that you were actually Crockett's first partner.
That's right. Wow.
Going back to your theater days, and you're mentioning that in your spare time you hope to go back to do some theater, what would be your dream role to bring to Broadway or off Broadway?
Oh, I mean, I love doing the classics just because it again, it exercises a different kind of acting muscle. But I love doing the stage because of, again, the energy that's involved with the audience, the contract that you guys have when you go into a theater. But thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Next question. Oh, you're right
Hey,
here.
Jimmy.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Congratulations
Emoji
on the
man.
show. Oh, thank you. Congratulations on the show and
Thanks.
your impressive career. I also want to commend you on your charity work for the Latino community.
Thank you.
And was wondering if you could just talk on that for those who aren't aware of your work.
Yeah, I mean, that all comes from like mom and dad in terms of the way we were raised to just count your blessings in terms of what your career has given you, and then just always look over your shoulder and make sure the door is open for the next guy coming in. And education has been a big plus in terms of any kind of success that I've had. I was lucky enough to have people, whether it be a teacher or a professor, that kind of pushed me to the next level. So I just want to, pass on the importance to that to young people, and with the foundation that I'm involved in terms of like scholarships in Washington. That's just one way of me, giving back. So I've got to make mom proud. She's looking down.
I think we have time for one more question. You holding the microphone high in the air, right there.
Hi, my name's Michael. I'm from Jersey. Thanks so much for coming. Big
Hey,
fan of your
Mike.
work.
Oh, thank you.
When you did Rogue One, what do you think made Gareth Edwards the right person to do this particular Star Wars story? And when Alderaan blew up, was Bail Organa not or really on that planet?
Oh, this is a serious Star Wars fan. Now, you're talking about Gareth, the director of that particular film. So his other work, he had more of a documentarian approach in terms of the way he visually wanted to shoot that film, and he used the cinematographer that did Zero Dark 30. So, I mean, it kind of has a feel that doesn't, in a number of the scenes, you feel an energy in the camera that a lot of the Star Wars films don't have. I mean, it's that kind of like, Star Wars has this kind of stately, dun 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 dun, you feel the music. But I think the fact that he employed that other style, in addition to all of the wonderful special effects that you're used to for a Star Wars movie, gave it a kind of energy and a pulse that I think really helped it in terms of what they wanted to achieve, which was to continue the Star Wars franchise in another way. So I think he was a great choice. And
I don't know if it was his decision or not when it came to Rogue One, but one of my favorite aspects of Rogue One and of any of the Star Wars films was where this particular Star Wars movie took place. That it kind of took place in the original world of the first, or the episode 4. I don't know how you guys want to track these things these days. But it took place in that world, and it had this kind of retro 70s sci-fi vibe that they were recreating, which, I mean, as soon as I saw the movie, I was floored by that. I loved how they recreated that.
So that's the idea, that they'll keep expanding their universe, that there's still more stories to tell. And certainly, if you sit down with George Lucas, that world is real to him. I mean, he can go off on so many different ways. No, really, and I mean, it's a tribute to him that he was able to create something that just is so iconic. As for Bail Organa and Alderaan, I don't know. Well, might be.
Let me ask, when you first started playing Bell, what was it like sitting down with George Lucas, meeting him for the first time, sort of getting this role? Were you a Star Wars fan?
Yeah, of course. I'd been a definite Star Wars fan. I got a call from my...
Yeah, I'm an American man. What do you want me to say?
That's right.
I was a boy at one time.
And I got a call from my agent that Mr. Lucas wanted to have a conversation. We spoke on the phone. He said, I'm a big fan of your work. First thing I want you to know, I want you to come and play in our playground, but you're not going to have a lightsaber. so just get that out of the way right now.
He must have to say that to so many actors that he got on the phone at the time.
But just being on the set with him in the other 2 films that I was involved in is just to see how he, as a filmmaker, moves the technological advances forward. On one of the films, it was one of the first high-def cameras that they were using. I mean, now we got cameras this small, but he, besides being a wonderful filmmaker and loving the filmmaking process, he's really pushed the envelope in so many ways. You come on a set and you're in a place with green screens everywhere, but with Lucas, there's like a grand stadium stands with people who have devoted the past 2 years making the way the different aliens looked, or so you're able to kind of as an actor go to them and access that information. You're not just on a green screen imagining things. And this film, it was a little different because Gareth really wanted to have standing sets and not do as much green screen work, which is a different kind of vibe for the actor. I mean, you're right there with 1,000 people and the speeders are all there. And so different strokes, get to the same, exciting conclusion.
Jimmy, I gotta let you go. 24 Legacy. When does it air? It airs Super Bowl Sunday, right?
Super Bowl Sunday, and then every Monday after that.
All right, Jimmy Smits, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.